And we'll have the coxed pairs for you coming up later on this afternoon as well. That's at 4:10. More rowing from those World Championships in Munich.
The first Britons ever to qualify for the World Finals in the coxed pairs. On there, outside in lane 5, the German Democratic Republic, East Germany, who won the gold in Moscow, but this is a new crew. And in lane 6 on the far side, the Soviet Olympic silver medalists from Moscow. Indeed, in this final lineup, there are 2 other crews that rowed in the Olympic final. In lane 1, Bulgaria, who finished 5th, and in lane 2, Czechoslovakia, who was 6th. And completing the lineup in lane 3, from Italy, the world under-23 champions, the Abagnale brothers, on whom Italy has high hopes of the gold medal.
Grande-Bretagne prêt, RDA prêt, Union soviétique prêt.
It really has been a fairy tale success for the British boat. Only racing as a coxed pair for 5 weeks, and never racing in international competition until they came here to Munich. So the final of the coxed pairs is underway. Perhaps the most difficult rowing event of them all. They call this the slave event. Only 2 hours to each boat, but a very long boat to accommodate 2 men and the cox who sits up front. Look for the Britons in lane 4. They've got to stay in contention. These are the East Germans, the world junior champions in 1980, 19 years of age. And it's the Soviets on the far side, the Olympic silver medalists, who have the lead by about half a length. Crews stroking here at around 42, getting off to a fast start. The British boat in lane 4 really has already achieved the impossible. These 2, Cadoux-Hudson and Richard Budgett, were rowing in the University of London 8 until a few weeks ago, when they were invited into the trials for the coxed pairs and won the 2 heats. The 3rd heat wasn't necessary. They were given the place. Talking to the British officials before, their prediction was we could get anything here from 1st to 6th. It's totally open. So it's the Soviets in lane 6 at the top who lead by about a length from Italy in lane 3. The stiff wind that's now blowing right down the regatta course, evident in quite a choppy swell down at that bottom half of the regatta course. It's the Soviets on the far side, Italy in the middle, and Britain in joint 3rd place at this stage with the Czechs in lane 2. East Germany took the gold medal in this event in Moscow, but this is a new pair, although they already have some pedigree, having been the world junior champions last year. That was in the coxless pair, incidentally, not the coxed. And Britain in 3rd place. Well, what a turn-up for the books it would be if Tom Cadoux-Hudson and Richard Budgett, these 2 22-year-old medical students from the south of England, could come through to take a medal. We've never even had a British boat in this final previously, so they're making history already. The cox at the front of the British boat, you can just see the top of his head. That's Adrian Ellison, who's a radiologist. Still the Soviets who lead. These are the Italians, Carmine and Giuseppe Abagnale, on whom the Italians have pinned their hopes of a gold medal in these World Championships. They finished 7th in the Olympic event in Moscow. And they, at this stage, in 2nd place behind the Soviet Union, with the British now involved in a 3-boat race for that 3rd place. East Germany on their outside, and the Czechs in lane 2 also beginning to push. As they pass the 1,000-metre halfway stage. And the Soviets are being overhauled by the Italians and indeed by all the other boats. Well, this in particular was one of the finals which everyone was predicting would be wide open for medals, and now it's the Italians who've come through to head the Soviets. Italian camp was full of hope and anticipation of a gold medal. And it's the Soviets in second place, the Czechs in third, and Britain just behind them in fourth, with the East German boat in lane 5 also alongside. Well, there's nothing to choose now. The Italians have a clear lead of about half a length. But the silver and bronze medals are there to be rowed for. What an amazing situation it will be if they can come through to take a medal. It's Italy ahead, the Czechs now in second place, Britain third, with these Germans dangerously on the outside, and the Soviets are going backwards. For the Olympic silver medalists from Moscow, the Soviet Union appear to have put in their effort too early and have run out of stamina. Well, I think if we'd asked the British boys before this final if they'd be happy in fourth place, they probably would have said yes, but at this stage, now with 500 metres to go in this final, they must have hopes of a medal. Italy ahead by 3/4 of a length. The Czechs second and Britain marginally third. But they'll have to watch these Germans on the outside. Well, the West German officials here were telling us before the finals began that if there was a finish between two boats closer than 0.2 of a second, they'd have to introduce a photo finish. We've already seen that in one of the petite finals, and we might have to have it here to settle the bronze medal positions. The Italians on their way to the gold, and it looks as though the British boat has slipped back to fourth. The Czechs are coming through in second place, and the East Germans are heading us for the bronze. What have they got left? 250 metres to row. Italy ahead by a length in lane 4. The Czechs appear to be dying in lane 2. Well, the British boys beat the Czechs in their heat. They've already had the better of them, and can they get ahead to get a medal? It's Italy, East Germany coming up, and the bronze now between Czechoslovakia and Great Britain. Oh, come on, Cadoux-Hudson and Budgett, there's a medal here. And they're ahead. It's Italy for the gold, East Germany for the silver, and Britain in bronze. What an amazing row. Come on, the British. Italy take the gold. And they've done it. That is magnificent. A magnificent row by the British boys. Absolutely sensational. That is amazing. Well, please forgive the excitement, but the British boat taking the bronze medal. Italy can celebrate the gold, East Germany the silver, but there's no medal sweeter, believe me, than that will be shared by the two men in the back there. On the right, Tom Cadoux-Hudson, and the blonde Richard Budgett, the two 22-year-old medical students who 5 weeks ago had never raced in the coxed pairs. That is absolutely sensational. Italy by 3/4 of a length. East Germany the silver, and only half a length ahead of the British boat. And this is the site that should have the champagne corks popping in the rowing clubs of Britain. Tom Cadoux-Hudson on the right, receiving his bronze medal in the coxed pair. And now the turn of Richard Budgett after that really sensational row. A big cheer from the British contingent. A medal also for the cox, Adrian, Ellison. And the crew of the British 8 as thrilled as us all to see that race. And what can they produce themselves as the Italians celebrate gold by throwing their cocks in the water.
Yes, two good medal performances there by the British crews, especially in the cox pairs, as Tony was saying. Richard Budgett and Tom Cadoux-Hudson are names that you might not have heard a great deal about up till now. Anyway, let's hear what they had to say about their success this afternoon as they talked down by the waterside to Tony Gubba.
Well, Tom Cadoux-Hudson, Richard Budgett and Adrian Ellison, very, very well done. Many congratulations. Tom, let's start with you. Was it as much a surprise to come here in your first international regatta and win a bronze medal as I'm sure it was to the viewers at home?
Yes, it certainly was, yeah. After the first heat, the pressure was on, having won it. But no, it was really good.
Because you were in the University of London 8 crew and you only took up the cox pairs 5 weeks ago. How do you explain taking a medal in your first international regatta?
It's very difficult to explain. No, I think it's a lot of it's due to our coach. He's and we were coached by other people in England who thought they knew about cox pairs, and I don't know, the right bill, who knows, will of God.
The first Britons ever to get through to the World Finals in the cox pairs and a bronze medal to show for it. It's marvellous. Richard, I know when you were at Cambridge a year or so ago, you missed the blue in the boat race, didn't you? Has this made up for it?
I think so, to a great extent, yeah.
Now, we're so strong back in England in the 8s, and you were the University of London 8. Do you think there's a message here? Should we split up some of the second string 8s and form pairs and 4s?
I think there's a lot to be said for a squad system and try and use the best talent that's available. But I think next year they might do that.
You put the pressure on yourselves, of course, haven't you? With a bronze medal in your first regatta, we'll expect at least a silver and maybe a gold next time now.
I'll see what I can do.
Now, let's move on to the third man. Now, they call this the slave event because there's two big fellas here, but they've only got one oar each, and they've got a lot of dead weight in the cogs.
Well, that can be very useful because it sets up a lot of momentum in the boat. So once they've got it moving, in theory, they should only have to sit there and keep it at a certain pace. Unfortunately, it doesn't always work like that.
Because you're at advantage, aren't you? Because you can see what's going on. They're slaving away, pulling. Now, you were alongside these Germans. Was that an advantage?
It was a very big help to us because we, in fact, got drawn between the eventual silver and the gold, so that both crews were pulling us along as they got closer and closer to the